Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today is Sunday the 12th of March 2023, and as always on a Sunday we get lots and lots of royal stories appearing in online media and physical print media, and there's one in particular that I want to address today. Over the past week I have been making lots of videos talking about styles and titles because we've had a few changes within the royal family. So if you haven't seen those videos and you are a new subscriber, do check back a few days and catch up on those. I'll try not to repeat myself in this video. But the one story that caught my eye, it came online late last night. I just thought that it was so incorrect that it needs explaining. But you'll see in a moment, it's quite complicated to explain. So I will try and make this as simple as I possibly can. But the story that concerned me, and a lot of people are picking up on it in comments on Twitter and Facebook and all the rest of it, so it needs addressing. And the headline reads, Sophie Wessex, well, she's no longer Sophie Wessex anymore, she is the Duchess of Edinburgh, please get that right, is relieved her move up the royal ranks means she no longer has to curtsy to Meghan, friends say. Now, first of all, like I say, they got her title wrong. She has moved up the royal ranks in terms of precedence. A duchess is higher than a countess. But with relation to curtsying to Meghan, it doesn't make any difference because members of the royal family with HRHs do not curtsy or bow to each other. The only people that they curtsy or bow to is, of course, the sovereign and the sovereign's spouse. In this case, being King Charles III and, of course, Queen Camilla, referred to at the moment as the Queen Consort. So Sophie would not have had to have bowed to Meghan anyway. However, like I say, there is something that's slightly a little bit more complex called the order of precedence, and this is where I think this story relates to. So we do not know whether friends of Sophie did actually talk to the press. I personally don't think they did. However, such as with Tiara Gate, where the press got a little snippet of information, it could have been from a palace leak, but they kind of got the story a little bit mixed up. So this story may have basis in truth, but not actually the whole details correct. And in terms of the whole details being correct, what I think they may be referring to is the order of precedence, because as you'll see in a moment, as Countess, Sophie would have had less, she was lower down in the order of precedence than Meghan. Now they will be, I suppose, on an equal ranking in terms of in private, but when they are with their husbands, it's the husband's rank and style that kind of trumps each other. You'll see that in a moment. So let's go straight to it. The orders of precedence in the United Kingdom. I will try and put a photo up, and this is relating to the British royal family. So the King or Queen of the United Kingdom as the sovereign is always first in the order of precedence. A king is followed by his queen consort, the first in the order of precedence for women. The reverse, however, is not always true for queens regnant. There is no established law of precedence for a prince consort, so he is usually specially granted precedence above all other males by letters patent, or, on the other hand, may rank lower than the heir apparent or the heir presumptive, even if the heir is his own son, such as with Prince Albert and Edward VII, who outranked his father as Prince of Wales. So let's go through the order of precedence for the British royal family. The King is, of course, first, followed by the Prince of Wales and the Duke of Cornwall, of course, Prince William. Then the sovereign's younger sons, the Duke of Sussex. Now this is why, obviously, in the order of precedence, Sophie does not outrank Meghan. Then the sovereign's grandsons, of course, Prince George, Prince Louis and Prince Archie. The sovereign's brothers, the Duke of York and the Duke of Edinburgh. The sovereign's uncles is not applicable currently. The sovereign's nephews, James, Earl of Wessex and Mr. Peter Phillips. The sovereign's cousins, the Earl of Snowdon. Slightly different for the female members of the family. Of course, we have the Queen Consort. There are no Dowager Queens at the moment, so that is not applicable. Then it is the Princess of Wales and Duchess of Cornwall, who is, of course, Catherine. Then the wives of the sovereign's younger sons. This is where Meghan fits in. So far, there are no sovereign's daughters. I don't think there will be. And there are no wives of the sovereign's grandsons yet. The sovereign's granddaughters, Princess Charlotte and Princess Lilibet. Wives of the sovereign's brothers, the Duchess of Edinburgh, and that is where, of course, Sophie fits in. Then we have the sovereign's sisters, the Princess Royal. There are no wives of the sovereign's uncles, and there are no the sovereign's aunts, and there are no wives of the sovereign's nephews. The sovereign's nieces come next, Princess Beatrice, Princess Eugenie, and of course the Lady Louise Mountbatten-Windsor. We'll talk about her again in a moment. And then we have Mrs. Zara Tyndall. The wives of the sovereign's cousins are next, but not applicable. And then we have the sovereign's cousins, Lady Sarah Chateau. So you can quite easily see where Meghan and Sophie fit in to the order of precedence within the British royal family. In private, when Queen Elizabeth II was alive, there was a private arrangement in terms of order of precedence, where Princess Anne could not be kind of supplanted in the order of precedence before the Duchess of Cornwall, Camilla. It's believed that those rules will not apply now that we have a new sovereign, and that the traditional order of precedence will take place. Now, we did see the order of precedence unfolding at the last Commonwealth Day service that Harry and Meghan attended. Of course, the order of service was printed, and at the last minute, a change was made where William and Catherine and Harry and Meghan entered at the same time, whereas normally in this order of precedence, Harry and Meghan would have gone in first. So sometimes they may make special arrangements, they may deviate from the order of precedence, and in terms of bowing and curtsying, you may see the odd piece of footage where, just out of courtesy, just out of free choice, they may choose to bow or curtsy to each other, but there is no requirement to do so if you hold an HRH within the royal family. I do hope I have made some sense, and you can see obviously from the photos that I put up where the different royals fit in to the order of precedence. Now, King Charles could update the order of precedence at any point, just as Queen Elizabeth II did for occasions, for family occasions in private. But in terms of the British royal family, it's not expected that there will be any changes to the order of precedence. But to put it bluntly, that story that I initially started with is incorrect. Meghan is indeed higher up the order of precedence than Sophie, now the Duchess of Edinburgh. So next I said I wanted to talk a little bit more about Lady Louise Mountbatten-Windsor, and I know that from a comment in the comment sections of my previous video that there is again some more fake information going around, and I think it's come from originated from another YouTube royal commentator, but I do want to say that that commentator is actually not correct. I did respond to the comment. So the commentator in question, I think, was trying to say that Lady Louise is styled, is actual use of surname is Lady Louise Windsor, and that she's not Lady Louise Mountbatten-Windsor, and that the official royal website was incorrect. Well, that is actually not true. Obviously, as I pointed out in my own video, the royal family line of succession website was page on the website was updated incorrectly for James, now Earl of Wessex, James Earl of Wessex. That was corrected, but they did actually get the title correct when it comes to Lady Louise Mountbatten-Windsor. She is not Lady Louise Windsor, even though in some royal correspondence she has been referred to as Lady Louise Windsor. She is in fact Lady Louise Mountbatten-Windsor, and I will explain why now. So Mountbatten-Windsor is the personal surname used by some of the male line descendants of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. Under a declaration made in the Privy Council in 1960, the name Mountbatten-Windsor applies to male line descendants of Queen Elizabeth II that do not have royal styles or titles. Individuals with royal styles do not usually use a surname, but some descendants of the Queen with royal styles have used Mountbatten-Windsor when a surname was required. So in current use, an example would be that Prince Andrew, Duke of York, and the Princess Royal, who of course are children of Queen Elizabeth II, used the surname Mountbatten-Windsor in official marriage registry entries in 1986 and 1973 respectively. Likewise, Prince William, the Duke of Cambridge at the time, used the name when filing a French lawsuit related to those topless pictures. And at the time of the 1960 declaration, palace officials claimed in private communications that it created a hidden surname that would emerge several generations later when some of Queen Elizabeth II's descendants were further removed from the throne. And this is where we get to Lady Louise. On the wedding of Prince Edward and Sophie Rhys-Jones in 1999, the Queen decided with their agreement that any of their future children should not be styled as His or Her Royal Highness, although they still have the right to choose, obviously, when they reach 18. Louise is now 19. Consequently, the birth of their daughter in 2003 marked the first emergence of the Mountbatten-Windsor surname. Their daughter was named Louise Alice Elizabeth Mary Mountbatten-Windsor. So there we have it. And she goes by the title of Lady Louise Mountbatten-Windsor, her father, of course, being the Duke of Edinburgh. Where I think this particular commentator has got it wrong, as I've said previously, is that in some palace correspondence over the years, they have indeed referred to Lady Louise as Lady Louise Windsor instead of the full Mountbatten Windsor. I think that is basically just shorthand because, as you can see, it is a little bit of a mouthful to get your lips around. But no, officially, Lady Louise was the first sort of emergence of that surname being used because Edward and Sophie did not take up the HRH and Princess title for Louise. But of course, that could change. Louise, now being 19, could choose for herself, as I've spoken about at great length. She could choose to take that style and title up at any point in her life, unless the rules are changed. Okay, so next I'm looking at a story in front of me that says that Archie and Lilibet won't be invited to the coronation, but Camilla's grandchildren will. Royals in fresh snub to Harry and Meghan, who they hope will be seated in Iceland for the ceremony. Okay, so again, lots wrong with this headline. First of all, Archie and Lilibet are too young to attend the coronation. Prince Charles, back at his mother's coronation, was just about old enough to attend, but younger sibling Princess Anne, who I think was about 3 at the age of the coronation, did not attend. So there isn't necessarily a precedent for children as young as Archie and Lilibet attending a coronation. Plus, it's a long time to sit and be really well behaved and not make noise. So I don't think the non-invitation for Archie and Lilibet is a particular snub just for Archie and Lilibet. I just think it's practical, and at the moment there is no precedence for it. It's also wrong to compare the non-invitation of Archie and Lilibet to Camilla's grandchildren, who, as we believe, will be holding the canopy of the state when the anointing oil is, Camilla is anointed with the holy oil. Of course, they are all grown-up grandchildren. So there's a bit of a difference between very, very young Archie and Lily and, of course, Camilla's fully grown grandchildren. Now, with the coronation literally about 8 weeks away, I mean, can you believe how quickly it has come about? Coronation fever will soon be upon us. And at the moment in the UK, as with many sort of royal events in recent times, citizens of the UK kind of a little bit blasé about it. With jubilees and royal weddings and all sorts of things, we don't really reach fever pitch until about 2 weeks before. Then everything will go mad, with the royal weddings of William and Catherine and Harry and Meghan and Princess Eugenie and Jack. There was sort of fever pitch a week, 2 weeks prior to the event, but a bit of blasé attitude towards it prior. So I will expect coronation fever to slowly start to build up some pace, but of course the preparations are well underway, and Charles and Camilla have been practicing. Apparently there has been a mock-up of the coronation kind of staging built at Buckingham Palace. Now, I imagine that could be probably in the ballroom. It's obviously a big, massive space that could accommodate a stage of such magnitude. But it does go to show that preparations are well underway and that these big-scale events are well practiced. Now, the Queen herself, the late Queen, of course, practiced for the coronation. King Charles is no exception. The St Edward's crown has now been resized to fit his head. He will probably have practiced wearing it as well, because just to get used to the weight on your head. Also, the imperial state crown, which is the crown that we see at the state opening of Parliament, that has been adjusted as well. The arches of the imperial state crown were lowered for Queen Elizabeth II. They were much higher for her father, King George VI. So crowns are resized. Also, Queen Mary's crown was taken out of the jewel house, the frame of it, and of course the Cullinan diamonds have been reset into, or are being reset into it. The work may have been carried out now by royal jewellers. And the Koh-i-Noor has been replaced with some of the Cullinan diamonds. Also, a piece of news emerged about Princess Lilibet's christening. And apparently there were some family of Harry's in attendance, and that is in the form of Diana's sisters. So we don't think that the Earl went, of course, Diana's brother, but we do believe that that Diana's sisters did or were in attendance. So I think it's nice that Harry still has that family connection with the Spencers. And it does go to show that perhaps there was a certain amount of notice and planning involved. Although, like I said in previous videos, I don't think that the announcement of the titles was planned, and I don't think Buckingham Palace were sort of notified well in advance of that. I think Buckingham Palace were definitely on the back foot when it came to the announcement of titles and the announcement of the christening. But it does go to show that invitations, I think, were sent, but I still think it would have been very, very difficult for those key members of the royal family, especially when preparations, as I've just said, for a coronation are well underway, plus a full engagement programme during that week for the royals, and that can take 6 months to kind of arrange and book up those diary spots. Okay, so my next story of the day is that King Charles has been given horses, or a horse, by Canadian Mounties, continuing a long-standing tradition. So the Mounties tradition of granting horses to the royal family isn't new. 8 were gifted to the late Queen during her reign. The Mounties gifted the king a 7-year-old black mare called Noble, a name she received through the Canadian Police's annual name, the Foal Contest. The gift marks a long-standing tradition where the Mounties offer horses to the royal family, and it signifies the relationship between both parties dating back to 1904. Then King Edward VII had bestowed a title of the Northwest Mounted Police, making it Royal Northwest Mounted Police. Noble is settling into life at the Royal Museum, Windsor, the palace said in a statement, while King Charles was pleased to meet her earlier this week. The mare, which was bred and trained in Canada, toured with the Mounties musical ride in 2022, where she took part in 90 public performances at 50 different locations in the country. During the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, the Mounties gifted her 8 horses with Burmese, and you may remember the name Burmese, as the first in 1969. The Queen rode Burmese at Drooping the Colour for 18 years, and when she met the then US President Ronald Reagan, who rode his horse Centennial alongside her. I mean, just looking at the picture of that amazing horse, I mean, Noble looks incredible, such a fine specimen. And of course, the Queen's existing horses at the Royal Stud are believed to have been kind of given still owned by King Charles, but given to Camilla to look after the royal stud. And I think the late Queen got a lot of solace and joy from her love and passion of horse breeding and horse racing. Camilla is, an avid horsewoman, and I do think it's rather fitting that the Queen's horses have gone to Camilla to look after and to breed. And of course, sales have been made, transactions. It is the royal stud is a working stud farm. It's not just about the horse racing. So I'd like to welcome Noble to the royal stud. Thank you for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, then please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and of course do hit that bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. So from me, mwah to you all, and goodbye.